Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. It is me, the Review Master 19 here, and as promised, I've been working on this for a while. This is Kido Butai, Japanese Carriers at Midway, full playthrough. So, in this video, we're going to be playing Kido Butai, Japanese Carriers at Midway, and let's begin. So we begin as the Japanese forces. I shall move my camera. Zoom in. So as you can see, we have our carriers. We have Akagi, Kaga, Soryu, and Hiryu. We have an air wing of 0 fighters for combat air patrols. And then if I zoom out a bit more, you can see some Kate torpedo bombers. So let's begin. So we begin by launching as the Japanese phase. So I am going to launch some combat air patrol from Akagi. There we go. Oh, God. So there you go. I've launched some combat air patrol. I'm going to zoom in on the map so you can see a bit better. And I am also going to launch a squadron of Val dive bombers towards Midway. So I launch 2 squadrons from each carrier. A squadron from each carrier, sorry. To try and attack Midway. So this is turn 1. We will now do mutual reconnaissance. And the first die will be us, and then the second die will be the Americans. So I'm going to jump cut, and we are going to jump cut to the die roll. Jump cut into the die roll now. We're going to roll for us. We are detected on a 5 or a 6. We detect the Americans on a 6. Oh, no one's detected each other. So let's go back to the drawing board. Okay, right, so we will now begin our second phase. And I believe we will turn our 0 fighter this way. And our planes have now arrived at Midway. They can't attack yet because they have arrived at the target, but they haven't been able to attack. They need to get in their bombing formations per se. So now we have moved our 0 fighter. We have moved our bombers. We are now going to roll the mutual reconnaissance die phase. So let's do that. So we roll 1 die for us. Nope, we have not sighted the fleet. The Americans roll. Nope. We are very lucky. We haven't found each other, but I want to find a carrier. Right. So, I just remembered something now. We are on turn 2. And now we will be on turn 3. So it's now 6:30. And I also forgot to place my 0 this way. So your 0 can stay for 3 turns before needing to go back, I think. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. So now our planes begin bombing Midway. So we place them this way to show that they're bombing Midway in combat. And I shall zoom out so you can see what's going on. I'll move the camera a bit closer actually so you can see what's going on. So our planes are attacking Midway. What we now do is we are going to attack Midway. So we roll. We need to see if Midway launches fighters. So you will see Midway has a token of 3 here. So we go to the fighter cup and we randomly draw. Midway can launch 3 fighters. And we have a no fighter seagull. So that means we take a fighter out. And that is good for us, and we just put it to the side. I believe. If I'm wrong in the comments, let me know. So now we will do the anti-aircraft fire. So we roll 1 die. And one of our bombers aborts on a 5 or a 6. So Midway fires its anti-aircraft guns. We've got 4 squadrons of bombers. Luckily for us, our squadron is not going to be decimated today. Bringing the camera a bit closer now, we have 4 bombers, which means we will need to roll 4 dice. And we are going to bomb Midway. Midway is damaged on a roll of a 6, so let's bomb Midway. Okay, so the first bomber misses, the second bomber misses, third bomber doesn't hit. Oh, unfortunately, all my bombers missed. So Midway is still standing and poses a threat until we see carriers. So now we will move on to the mutual reconnaissance phase. I'm going to do that now, but while I do that, I'm going to bring my planes back in a minute. So we're going to roll for us. Oh, we've sighted the fleet. I think we have. We have found the fleet. So what we now do is we will draw from the carrier cup. And it is the Hornet. So we'll place the carrier there. And then we then place the no carrier counter in the cup. Give it a shake. And we draw again. And we've drawn the Yorktown. And you keep drawing until... Oh, no carrier. So, looks like the Enterprise hasn't been found. The Grey Ghost, as they call it. So, we found them. Let's see if they found us. Oh, we found each other. So, now it's going to get really interesting. We've got an American attack. So, unfortunately, our Zero fighter will need to repair. And can only stay for 3 turns. So, he is on his last legs. So, let's get him on the hangar deck, recharging. And while we're at it, we need to get these bombers from Midway. So far in this playthrough, we've been very lucky, but now it's the Americans' time to strike. We're on turn 3. So we draw from the American Bomber Cup. Give it a shake, and we draw a bomber. We keep drawing until we draw a no bomber. Oh god, this isn't looking good. Okay, and more bombers. Oh gosh. There you go, no bomber. And when you draw no bomber, you take out a bomber from the cup and you just put it to the side like you did with the fighter. Okay, now we'll put that back. We then roll a die for each of the bombers, and if it's a 3, it's a torpedo bomber. So let's do that. We'll roll a die for the first bomber, the second, and the third. Looks like they're all Dauntless dive bombers, and unfortunately I've no cap combat air patrol, so now we'll move on to the clarifications. This is where things may get a bit dangerous. So the bombers will engage our carriers. We have no resistance, and if I look at the rules, if bomber squadrons have not been opposed by combat air patrol, all ships roll for anti-aircraft fire, with each hit aborting 1 bomber squadron. This is sort of like a special attack for the Americans. So we have 4 Japanese carriers, Akagi, Soryu, Hiryu, and Kaga. And while our bombers are rearming and reloading, which is exactly how Midway happened, we're going to roll a die for each. And any 6 we get will abort a bomber. So let's do that. We roll for Akagi. We roll for Kaga. We roll for Soryu. We roll for Hiryu. Nothing at all. So now it says all pips showing are applied as hits. 1 die is rolled for 1 aborted squadron. The pip is a 1. If we roll any 1. Okay, so that's Akagi, Kaga, Soryu, and Hiryu. So Hiryu has taken a hit. So Hiryu has taken a hit, which isn't good, because in the Battle of Midway, Hiryu was the last carrier to be sunk. Let's take a look at damage control. So damage control with Hiryu. Hiryu has taken 1 hit, and we'll lose 1. We'll only have 1 plane left, so I'm going to take away my Zero fighter. I know I need it, but unfortunately I've lost it, so I'll put it there. And now we only have 2 bomber squadrons now, and the attack is just beginning. This is a special attack. These ships will be placed on the turn track 5 hours ahead. Or is it 3 hours? 5 turns ahead. So they will go 5 turns ahead. So let's do that. Okay, so they're going to go 5 turns ahead, so 3, 4, 5. They're going to come back at 11:30. All 3 of them are probably rearming from the carries and such. Okay, so now it's our turn. We are now at 7:30, and the planes from the previous strike are still rearming. Oh gosh, that's not good. So while they're rearming, we are going to get some combat air patrol up, because I do not want to be spooked again. And then I'm going to launch 2 squadrons of Kate torpedo bombers towards the carriers. There we go. So we roll to see. We don't need to roll, but we do need to roll for the Americans to see if we find a carrier. So let me just... whoop. And we roll the 3, so no carrier has been sighted. Okay, right, now we're going to begin with the American phase. So, as usual, we're going to draw from the cup. Because, or do we? Yeah, we keep drawing. Okay, so we're drawing a bomber. We have drawn another bomber. Oh gosh, this isn't good. This has never happened before. No bomber. So we remove a bomber from the cup. Place it to the side. And now it gets interesting because we have combat air patrol. So when we have combat air patrol, we eliminate bombers on a 3 or a 4 or 5 or a 6. So first of all, we need to roll. There's 3 bombers. Any 3 will mean it's a torpedo bomber. And that will mean we have a choice to go low. So let's do that. Alright, I'm hoping it's just dive bombers. Oh, one of them's a torpedo bomber. So they can be quite deadly. Let's switch back. So as you can see, there's a torpedo bomber. And there's dive bombers. The dive bombers are my most main threat, but that torpedo bomber is bothering me. I want to kill the dive bombers first. So we are going to roll for 3 of them. We're going to roll for the 3 bombers, okay? On a 3 or a 4, they abort, and they're placed 3 hours ahead. No, they're placed 5 turns ahead. And on a 5 or a 6, we kill them. So let's go. Okay, so our Zero fighter fires on the first one. He survives. The second one is destroyed. The third one, which we can't engage because it's a torpedo bomber. Even though I rolled a 5, we're not going to count that because it's a torpedo bomber. So now we're going to roll a dice for the American planes and see what carriers they go for. Okay, so the Dauntless dive bomber is going to go for... First of all, I need to roll a die to see what carriers they go for. So let me just refer to the rules real quick. Japanese anti-aircraft fire. So each carrier will roll for anti-aircraft fire. They abort on a 6, and we've got 2 bombers, so we're firing for 4 carriers. There you go. Now let's roll. So we're looking for a 6. Oh, no bombers abort, so they're attacking. Okay. So now the American dive bombs and torpedo bombers have come in. The Dauntless is going to assign itself to a target. We roll a die and we roll. So the Dauntless assigns itself to a 6. Oh. Hiryu. So the Dauntless is going to attack Hiryu. And we are going to roll for bomb. 5 or a 6, we're damaged. Yep, Hiryu is destroyed. That's right, we have lost Hiryu. Okay, which means we've just lost 2 squadrons as well. So we've lost 1 carrier out of 4. So now we have 3 carriers left. And the Dauntless will now go 5 hours ahead on the turn track. So we'll now be back at 12:30, probably. Oh, right. The Avenger will roll for a dice, and it's assigning itself to a 4, which is Kaga. Okay, let's see if it hits. Oh, God. Cargo's been hit. 2. So we lose 2 aircraft. So I'm going to choose to lose 2 Zero fighters. No, a fighter and a bomber. Not good for my first attempt. And he's going to come back at 5 hours there as well. Right, let's go to the next turn. Turn 5. So already, we're now at turn 5. And already it's turned out to be an horrible disaster. We launched our planes, then it was the American phase, and then they dropped bombs, and we've lost 1 carrier, we've lost quite a lot of air power. Okay, so now our Zero fighters turns this way. We've got our bombers from the previous wave. We only have 5 bombers now. Okay, and by the end of that turn, that Zero fighter will be ready. Yes, it will. So now the planes Kates have arrived on target. We then decide to not launch another squadron because we can't do that yet. Instead, we roll from the carrier cup. And we roll the last carrier, which is the Enterprise. So we roll the Enterprise. So we've now rolled 3 American carriers. Okay, right. We know the Americans know where we are, so they're going to attack. So we draw from the bomber. Hopefully we get no bomber Seagull, and would you look at that, no bomber. So we remove a bomber from the cup. There we go. Nice. Okay, right. Now we're moving on to 9:30. And our Zero is now heading into the danger zone now. But our bombers have arrived en route to the carriers, so now we'll attempt to attack. So let's bring our friends closer. And let's assign this one to Yorktown and this one to Hornet, because they're the easiest carriers to kill. So, we first of all see if any of the carriers launch any planes or fighters. So we'll start with Hornet. Hornet launches a Buffalo. Yorktown launches a... Oh, no fighter. That's good. Does Enterprise launch anything? No, it doesn't. So, unfortunately, we've lost all the fighters. Lucky. So, no fighters will be opposing us today. However, we roll for anti-aircraft fire. We abort on a 5 or a 6. So, let's roll. Oh, one of our bombers has to abort. And we will repair them. The second one... Oh, okay, so it looks like an attack on Yorktown is happening. On a 5 or a 6, we hit. Come on. Oh, a 2, so that plane needs to come back. We haven't scored any victories as the Japanese yet at all, which is quite unusual, really. But it is what it is. Okay, so now we are going to move on to the American phase, and that's probably going to be where the bombers are going to come in. Okay, so now we've got some combat air patrol up. Need to draw from the bomber cup. And, oh, no bomber. Oh, we're getting very lucky, so remove a bomber from the cup. I'm not looking forward to the 3, 4, 5, 6, turn 8, because we're going to be opposed by a lot of bombers. Okay, right. Now we are moving on to 10:30 and the... Oh yeah, by the way, the Buffalo will go back into the cup along with the Seagull, because that is the last fighter in the game. We've got 1 more fighter. Let's hope nothing happens. We can also get rid of this because all the carriers have been sighted. So now our Zero fighter needs to refuel. Okay, so now it's my go, and I get some Zero fighters up there. These carriers are tearing me to bits, so I'm going to switch all of my Val dive bombers to Kates. So now I have a whole squadron of Kate bombers. And while they reload, the Americans are going to try and attack. So we roll, or we draw from the cup. No bomber. Okay, and it looks like there is going to be no bombers at all. No, there isn't. There's no bombers. Oh gosh, right, so the Bomber Cup is gone, the Fighter Cup is still there, okay. I've never had much action in this game when I play on my own. It's probably because I'm recording this video, actually. So now, we are going to prepare for the next turn. Alright, so we are now on the next turn, which is turn 8, which is the big finale, because we've got a lot of bombers coming in. And luckily for us, our Kate torpedo bombers have fueled and been armed. We're going to launch every single one of these Kates for a final retaliatory strike, saving one just in case to attack Midway when we switch to dive bombers. So now our Kates have been sent out. There we go. Just going to show you. There you go. They've been sent out. And now we move on to the reconnaissance phase, which we don't need to do because we already know we've spotted each other. Incoming 3 American bombers, 6 o'clock high. Okay, right. Now we're going to roll to see if any of the torpedoes. Rolling for torpedo bombers. None of them are. They're all dive bombers, and luckily we've got a plane in the air, so now we're going to fire at them. 3 or 4, 5 or 6. So we fire at the first bomber. He aborts. He's going to come back 5 hours ahead. So he's going to come back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's going to come back at 16:30. The second bomber, he's going to come back at 16:30. And the last one, oh, he's lucky. So this bomber is now going to all 3 carriers roll for anti-aircraft fire. I think. No, it depends on what carrier he goes for, isn't it? Okay. We roll. They abort on a 6. He does not. Okay, now he's going to assign himself to a carrier. So let's roll. He's a Dauntless. And a 3. Oh, he attacks cargo. Okay, so he's moving in on cargo. We roll again on a 6 or a 5 or a 6. He hits our carrier. Nope, luckily cargo survives. So now that cargo has survived and taken the brunt of Allied aircraft power, we have 3 Dauntlesses which will be coming back. So now will be the next turn, which will be this, and we'll be coming up against torpedo bombers probably, and a dive bomber. Yes, we will. Okay. Our friend will now need to refuel in a minute. So now our Kates have arrived en route to the carriers, and we have quite a lot of Kates, so they're probably going to be able to split up, and we will turn them so we know that they're going to attack. I forgot to do that actually. Turning these are really important. And now we are going to move to the American phase. So now they're going to launch a torpedo bomber and a Dauntless. Okay, and we roll to see if we attack. I'm probably going to go after the Dauntless and let the torpedo bomber go, because his torpedo is probably going to be a dud. And we destroy the Dauntless. We kill it on a 6, so he's shot down. The torpedo bomber is going to, well, first of all, aircraft fire, anti-aircraft fire, and we roll the 4. So he aborts. He's going to come back on turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 17:30 he's going to come back. Oh, unlucky for the Americans, but lucky for us because we've got 3 carriers left. Akagi, Kaga, and Soryu. Alright, now we are going to move on to turn 13:30, and it will now be time to attack with our Kates. Okay, so our Zero fighter will need to rest up. We are going to launch another Zero fighter for combat air patrol, and our our Kates have arrived. They're going to begin attacking, and I'm going to assign a Kate to each carrier to try and hit. We're going to target the Yorktown first, but before we do that, we need to see. This is pot luck, really, if they launch a fighter. No, it was potluck. They don't launch a fighter, so we're lucky. Okay, so now it's just technically to see if we have any anti-aircraft fires. So our first Kate moves in on the Hornet, and they begin firing anti-aircraft at the Hornet. And we abort. On a 5 or a 6 we abort, so we don't need to abort. Okay, now the Kate attacks and misses, so he's gonna probably refuel. Right, the second Kate comes through to Hornet, and we roll. Different dice this time. Oh, anti-aircraft fire. Oh, we have to abort. Alright, the second Kate comes through to attack the Yorktown. We roll for anti-aircraft fire. Oh, lucky. Drops its torpedo. Oh, nice. Hit on the carrier. Scratch one flat top, as they say. So now he's going to come back. And the other Kate is going to attack the Yorktown. Anti-aircraft fire. Nope. We drop torpedo. Nope. So he's going to go back. Okay. We're going to target the Yorktown still. So anti-aircraft fire. Torpedo dropped. Nope. So he misses. Alright. This is the last remaining Kate. Can he do it? Can he sink the Yorktown? I hope so. Oh, unfortunately has to abort. So we have scratched one flat top. So now it's the American phase, but they have no planes to launch. So we automatically move on to 1430. So at 1430, our Zero fighter will move this way. Our fighter from the previous strike will rearm. We have one Kate torpedo bomber left. We're going to send him out. And we don't need to roll for American because there's no planes. So we automatically move on to the next phase where the plane will now be on target. And our Zero will need refueling soon. And by the end of this turn, all of our Kates from the previous strike will be rearmed. Okay. Right, we then move on to whatever time this is. And we obviously have a lot of American planes left. So it is now time for our our Kate, to attack the Yorktown. Okay. So he attacks the Yorktown. We roll a die, and on a 5 he has to abort because he was hit, which is very annoying. And our fighter, we now have a lot of American planes, so incoming. Luckily for us, we have some combat air patrol, but we have 3 dive bombers incoming. We roll a die for each to see if any are torpedo bombers. Oh, we got 1 torpedo bomber. That's the second one. Okay. And now we're going to try and destroy these bombers. Alright, so the bombers are on us. We need to roll. Only 2 because there's torpedo bomber. And we are going to roll now. So we roll for the 2 bombers. We missed the first one and the second one, so now the Dauntless is going to assign himself to a carrier. He goes for a 2, which is the Akagi, which is our flagship, which is loaded to the brim with bombers. I hope he doesn't attack. Akagi fires anti-aircraft fire, and on a 5 or a 6, I think. Yep, 6, he has to abort. So he's going to come back on the next turn. The next torpedo bomber comes through, and he assigns himself to a target. And that's a 5, which is Soryu. So he attacks Soryu, which is loaded with 2 Kates. Soryu fires anti-aircraft. Oh, fails. So now he drops his torpedo. Oh, luckily misses. So looks on our side. But then a Dauntless screams down and assigns itself to a carrier. As it assigns itself to Hiryu, so it will assign itself to Soryu, because that's the only carrier we have left. And now, Soryu fires anti-aircraft, which fails, so he launches his bombs, and hits Soryu, which reduces Soryu to 1 bomber. Oh. Damage control assessment. So the damage from that strike was pretty catastrophic. We had Soryu has took a hit. Kaga and Akagi are holding well. We need a Zero fighter to refuel. So now it will be the next turn. And I'm going to launch some combat air patrol, as well as launching my last retaliatory strike against these blue carriers. There we go. And I launch 3 Kokutai Kantai squadrons, Sentais, whatever the Japanese called them. I'm just trying to get it so it's all good for you guys. So yeah, we've launched 3 squadrons. They'll be arriving on the next turn. However, we have incoming. A torpedo bomber has decided to join in. So we are going to flip our counter to low and we're going to attack it. We roll to attack. Oh, we didn't shoot it down. Instead, it aborts. So he's going to come back on the next turn, which is the American build-up. Okay. So now it's nearly the last turn. Our Zero fighter has refueled, and we have some Kates, which have now arrived on the target, and we'll be attacking in the next wave. We don't have any planes that are going to be attacking us, so we'll move on to the final wave. Moving on to the final turn, our bombers have arrived, and we are now going to attack each carrier individually. So the first Kate is going to go after the Yorktown. We are going to roll anti-aircraft fire. He doesn't abort. We've scratched 1 flat top. We've destroyed the Yorktown. So that's our first kill. So now he's going to come back and refuel. The next Kate goes after the Hornet. Hornet fires anti-aircraft. And we abort on a 5 or a 6, so he has to abort. Second one goes through to the Hornet. And anti-aircraft fire. Luckily for us, we don't. So we drop torpedoes, unfortunately missing. 3 squadrons left. Gonna train my sights on Akagi now. I mean, Enterprise, sorry. Anti-aircraft fire. We have to abort. Second one is gonna go after Hornet. Anti-aircraft fire. Abort. God. Go after Hornet again with our last one. Oh, lucky. Please hit. Oh, what a shame. So, unfortunately, we were not able to attack. And now it's the Americans' final strike, and this is where we might lose. So, with 1 carrier on our kill to tally, and rounding up the end of the game, we have a bunch of enemies. And while I am at low, we have 3 Avengers and 1 Dauntless. So we're going to attack them. We're going to shoot them down. We've got 3 bombers. So let's bring the dice tower over. How am I going to do this? I'm just going to flip that over. And we're going to fire. That is 1 bomber destroyed. What's that? That's a 6. That's another torpedo bomber. And another torpedo bomber. Looks on our side. But now, the Dauntless is time to scream down. He's going to assign himself to a carrier. He chooses a Soryu, which is unfortunate. Bit of grass there. Don't know what that's from. Anyway. And he misses. And guys, that is the playthrough of Kido Butai Japanese carriers at Midway. Let's have a look at our damage and our victories. So on the Japanese side, we have lost one carrier, which is the Hiryu. We have also lost 3 torpedo bomber squadrons and 2 bomber squadrons, sorry. But we have also lost 2 fighter squadrons. Midway has not been destroyed, which was our primary mission. We have 3 carriers on deck, which were surviving. We had 3 surviving carriers. Akagi, Kaga, and Soryu. Hiryu was taken out. Soryu, battling fires, will obviously be repaired. We have 0 fighter on deck of Kaga. Many torpedo bombers lining the decks of Akagi because she's the class fleet carrier. The Americans had 2 carriers left, the Hornet and the Enterprise, but we made a mighty blow as we struck their Yorktown class carrier. Okay, the Americans lost 3 torpedo bomber squadrons. They also were not able to launch 2 dive bomber squadrons, 1 dive bomber squadron, 2 torpedo bomber squadrons, and fighters. So that is the roundup to Kido Butai, Japanese carriers at Midway. If I have made any mistakes, please let me know in the comments. Hope you enjoyed. And if you would like me to do a solo playthrough of my U-boat leader campaign where you play as a convoy, which is called Under the Depths, please let me know. Apart from that, like and subscribe and share, and I'll see you in the next one.